Okay, right? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chops Podcast. I am Steve Peterson,
And I'm Jack Hinkle.
and we are ready to go today. It is super cold.
It is so cold outside.
Really cold.
That's why we're in street clothes, because we didn't have school. Well, we had
we
school.
had school today. We had
e-learning.
And my mother-in-law wrote me text this morning, and she lives on the East Coast, and said, "Hey, it's really cold there. Are you guys doing okay?" I said, "Yep. Where my wife works was closed down today, and we're on e-learning." She goes, "Ooh, just like COVID?" And I said, "Yeah, kind of." And so
Just like
COVID, and
because the weather and COVID, they're the same, right, Steve?
they are the same.
Because it doesn't matter what you think.
It doesn't matter what you think the policy is. Should be about the weather and closing and COVID and closing. It didn't matter. It is what it is. The weather, It is what it is, and people getting sick and having contagious viruses. It is what it is.
Actually, they're both kind of a similar feeling, like early on COVID, like early March, because you keep watching the news and you're like, "Are we going down? Are we getting shut down?"
Yeah, right.
And then I'm
like
sure
last night.
last night we're all doing that.
So it was. We're on a cold weather day.
Wind chills in the negative 20s,
Yep.
right?
It's cold.
And if you're standing at a bus stop, that is that's not a good time.
Your ears will crack off. That's cool.
So we got the message. You know it's real when they send it the day before,
Mhm.
right? Because we got that probably 6 p.m. something like that yesterday, and we were one of the later ones, so it was getting intense. We're here. So if you're watching the video, you can see that we are in street clothes. We are not in teacher clothes. Nice change of pace. So we care so much about this podcast that we
How much do we care, Jack?
we
How
care
much do
so
we
much
care?
that we came into school today to record anyway.
We risked our lives
For you listeners.
Podcast Nation of Chops. I was trying to say Chops. Chopscast.
Chopscast
Okay.
for Chops
Yeah,
Nation.
we
We care
came
about
in
you.
to do this in this cold room. It is kind of chilly in here.
I got frostbite on the way here, just for you.
I warmed
Chops
up my
listeners.
car for 2 hours. It was intense.
It was intense. It was tough.
And like you walk outside, it's like, right?
You feel it in your nose.
Yeah.
As soon as you step out the door, your nose is like, breathing? We're not doing that today.
Yeah. And your hands are like,
It
even if you wear
hurts.
gloves, like when you get back inside,
You're
your
like,
hands are all yeah, your hands are all cracked and
Dude, I made the mistake of moving my trash and my recycling bin like 2 days ago without gloves, and I had to fight it a little bit because it was stuck and frozen. Dude, my hands hurt for like the next 30 minutes, and they felt hot. And that's when I knew I was in trouble. I'm like, am I getting amputated tonight? Like, is that what's happening?
That would have been bad.
I know I'd never be able to conduct or play piano again.
No,
Think
you
about the
could
real-
conduct. I would have to take care of the technical part of the podcast.
I'd use my You'd have to press start and stop.
Got you.
Okay.
Okay, so we thought it would be fun today to talk about technology in the classroom.
Yes. And, I think I told you this, but we actually got an email from a listener probably 2 months or so ago saying, like, this would be a good thing for you guys to talk about.
This is for
'cause
you.
This is for you. You know who you are. So tech in the classroom.
I think we should use it.
I'm pro tech.
I'm pro tech. Let's use it.
Okay, that's it. That's the
That's
episode.
it.
We'll see you next week.
Oh, okay. So what's your take on this? What do you
My
got?
take
What,
on
what,
tech?
when do you think about tech? Like when it comes up, tech in the classroom. What's your hot button issues or topics or dreams?
Well, I would say we got into this probably when I started teaching. Like, that's kind of when stuff started, like, hitting and things were getting more common use in the
Like what?
classroom. AirPlay, like putting screens up on, like using our screen so the kids can see it. Like, that stuff started going.
Wait, when you started teaching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that's when it started getting big.
So we're
like,
talking like 7 years ago, 7, 8 years
dude,
ago.
that is crazy. I've been teaching for that long. Yeah, when I student taught at this high school, they went one-to-one with iPads like that first year, and they got Apple TVs in every classroom. And this was in 2016, which was pretty early for like
They
AirPlay
had
and
Apple TV in every room.
Every
Did
classroom.
the kids have access to it?
Dude, it was a nightmare. Well, I've talked about that situation on this podcast before, that like they put the cart before the horse and didn't restrict stuff. But I don't remember kids getting on it, but I do remember my cooperating teacher trying to figure some things out. And I think he had his phone up. because he would AirPlay from his phone, right?
What
And
could go
what can go
wrong?
wrong? And that's when you learned that you need to have the iMessage preview turned off.
Right. Because if you
Because
get a text from a family member,
it shows
that
up for the
in
entire
that.
class. And nothing on there was like inappropriate or everything, but
Right.
I was like, hey, buddy, you might want to not do that. So that's like kind of when it started hitting big. And we would use it all the time just to listen to music or, put our screen up so kids could see a tuner and the whole class could see a tuner. I mean,
Mm.
these are some like basic kind of entry level things that initially come to my mind about using technology. What about you?
I think about using technology. Big rocks. When I first started teaching here, everybody that year
Everyone had iPads.
was that
Everyone had iPads your
no
first year.
iPads were not even.
You got
birthed.
it
They were
25 years
They
earlier.
were a twinkle in God's eye. So
everyone
they-
got floppy disks
Every
with a pencil
with
through
the
'em.
pencils. They were whoop-ah! So let's see. When I started here in '98, everybody got a new desktop computer. That was like a big thing. I think we got compacts.
Wait, are you for real?
Yeah,
The teachers,
the teachers,
not the kids.
No, the teachers.
Wait,
and-
what did they have before?
I think it was just kind of piecemeal together. Like some people had computers. There was no net.
That's terrifying.
Now I could be wrong about whether there was a network or not, but that year we all got those computers, and we had microphones with them, which we thought was hilarious because you could like record yourself. But then also we had the kind of the remote control mouse. Like, so if you're doing like slideshows,
Oh, like a clicker.
yeah,
Yeah,
but the
yeah.
principal at the time made us turn those in.
Why?
I don't, 'cause
Why?
he's like, you don't need them.
You don't need these.
I was like, you don't either. But I was like, he had
yeah,
like
no one's making
seven-
PowerPoints in '98 for their class. My God.
75. So that was not used in the classroom. Probably the first time I remember using more technology. Like big thing was like 2003 mini iPod minis.
Okay.
And that was, and I'm just talking like school-based stuff.
Yeah.
So the band director then got us all mini iPods.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Um,
Because those were pretty. I mean, those were cool in like
those were
03.
cool. So I had like a
got
silver
one for
one,
free.
and then I had a green one, and so that was really cool because then all my playlists could be put on the iPods, and then you had to do not the USB, you had to do the 1/8" jack,
Yep.
like the auxiliary cord, right?
Right.
So, but that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fun. And then some of the good technology too at that time around like early 2000 was they set us up in each of the large rehearsal rooms with being able to record your own CDs.
Oh yeah, because we still have those microphones.
Yep. They're in the large band room, and then we had a system there that you could record and then burn and finalize your own CD. That was kind of
Yeah.
cool. That was a nice little thing. And then iPads. The band staff had iPads because we won a Pepsi grant. Were you in high school then?
I was.
And
I
we
was. That's junior year.
I think we got like a Generation 2. That was pretty cool.
Little backstory on that event too.
Yeah.
We had this like the band director Scott Sprathing told the kids, "Hey, there's this grant. Let's go for it."
It's called Pepsi Refresh.
Pepsi Refresh Challenge, and you had to use bottle caps, right?
Yes.
That was like you buy
You-
Pepsi,
Then you opened it up, these yellow caps, and the underside it told you like
code,
a
right?
code or points or something.
And so we got the band was pretty big. It was probably like 240 or something,
Yeah.
and the kids were like on it. And I remember that trip to Cedar Point that
Yes.
summer. Kids were literally dumpster diving.
Yep.
And this is not like there was no band director that said please dumpster dive. They said,
No.
hey, if you could participate,
If
that'd
you-
be great.
Yep.
And kids are like, oh, watch
Right.
this. And then
so-
they won. You guys won.
Yeah, and so you accumulated so many points
Yeah.
through their system, through their app or whatever it was at the time, and then we got like a $5,000 grant, and then they were giving them out to I don't know if it was musical organizations or sports or what, but we got one. So one of the things we bought were iPads.
And that was like in 2011.
Yes.
Which when iPads were like recently birthed, like in I
Right.
mean those were new. So yeah, that was a cool thing.
like so tuners and metronomes off of that.
Yes.
And then in maybe like 2018, 2017 was the Chromebooks.
Yep.
Is
Yeah.
that right? 17?
the staff got them a year before,
Okay.
and then the kids got them the year after,
Okay.
and then we went completely 1-to-1 the year of COVID when school shut
Oh,
down.
thank
So
God
we
we
had
were
great
1-to-1.
timing.
Yeah. So the Chromebook straight ahead,
Yep.
like
And
little jobbies.
now-
And then this past year, our school went 1-to-1 on iPads,
Mm-hmm.
and got these cute little things.
They're great.
There.
Wow, so you've seen quite a few mixes.
Yeah, some different variation, or that's redundant. I said the same thing over. I just repeat myself
Now
all
he's
the
still
time.
going.
But that's the College of Redundancy.
Repeat.
The College of Redundancy University. Okay, so yeah, I remember when we talked about trying to go to 1-to-1
Like
and
the first time.
the first time
Okay.
with the Chromebooks. You know, I think I was in some discussions about that. And I was just kind of thinking in my mind, I was like, what? No, I don't want it. And I was really concerned about that was going to take us away like from the kids. And I still think I'm still concerned about that. Not about the 1-to-1 stuff, but just about devices in general. But then I think I was pretty hesitant about it. But then when we got those, I actually remember feeling grateful to have the Chromebook. And the Chromebook was not a really super special device, right? It was pretty bare bones.
Bare bones.
You know, a Chromebook is basically a computer that just has a bunch of web apps on it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Google Cloud.
It's
with
Google
a
Cloud,
keyboard.
right?
Yeah.
And they were, not real cool looking, but they were like really functional.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I felt very appreciative to have one. I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool.
Yes.
And our integration with like what we were doing with our grades and syncing up class lessons, and that was still not really figured out. We were going a lot of different directions. We use something now called Canvas.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had something called Power School Teacher or Power School Pro, and then like you could put your lessons in there. Then some people were doing Google Classroom.
We had that
and-
like SIS thing. You
Yes.
remember that?
yes.
Wow.
So
Times have changed.
So now we use something called Canvas, and I'm sure a lot of listeners know that Canvas are used in the universities and a lot of public schools, private schools, I'm sure. But it's basically like you have your own web page.
It's great. It works very well.
It is pretty slick. I think it's pretty intuitive. Right?
No,
Slick.
it's good. It's good.
And like for today, we thought it would be good to talk about technology today because today we taught 21 minute classes, and we taught 6 classes, and then we were done. It was like 9 to 12
Mm-hmm.
with breaks built in. You still get your prep, but state standard says high school kids have to be synchronous, teaching with your students and your teachers 9 to 12.
And looking at this day, the e-learning. I mean, if you're listening at home, you're probably imagining like a teacher going hard teaching a lesson on like a Google Meet,
Right.
and that's probably not what a lot of teachers did today. Like the time is so short; it's 21 minutes, right? So that time is mostly used to check in with the kids, and then touch base with them about what is happening for today with their assignment. And Steve and I team teach 2 classes, and I would say both of our classes looked very similar, even
Yep.
though they were 2 different. It's
Yes.
just like, hey, what's up? Type in chat. What'd you have for breakfast
Yep.
today?
Yep.
Right. We're going to listen to this together.
Yep.
Okay, here's your assignment. Let me walk you through it. And then by that time, you kind of hit your 20 minutes, and then the students have the afternoon
Yep.
to take through it. So with this like tech talk, I'd be interested for us to kind of talk about like what are some of the best things that we've experienced with tech, either in the classroom or just like as a teacher in our music teaching profession, and then maybe what are some things that we're like maybe not sure of or like still trying to figure out.
I'll go first.
Please.
iTunes Music, unbelievable asset to the school as a music teacher. Being able to have my device connected to a Bluetooth and quality speakers. Yeah, my boop, 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 boop.
Every kid listening just
this-
heard that sound in their head.
This little phone here, like, it doesn't matter, like, if I'm in the high school music offices upstairs, no kidding, like, upstairs, I can be walking in the hallway, and it's like, boop, 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 or I walk too far away, it goes, boop, boop, And then I walk, if I come in the back stairway and I like try to sneak up into a band and like Jack is teaching, I like walk into the band room, boop, 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 boop. You know, hey, Mr. Peterson. It's like this Pavlovian response.
It is. It's just like Jim in the office with the mint and the Windows
Yeah,
startup.
it is.
It's the same thing. But like every time, because
Nobody else does that.
you're
Nobody
the only
else,
one connected
I
to
know,
Bluetooth, bro.
I know, but I just like having that. I like.
Clearly, it happens all the time. He's gonna when we walk past after this recording, it's gonna go boop, 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 and then us in our offices are gonna look at the band room and be like, "Where's Mr.
Steve?"
Peterson?" It's like, my gosh! And now it happens that when the sound plays in the band room and I'm teaching jazz band, boop, 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 every kid just like behind their back just like looks and they're like, "Oh my God, Mr. Peterson!"
It's great because if the kids are misbehaving and the teacher's out of the room, it's like, hey, I'm back in. So that having the iTunes at my fingertips and being able to play any tune as a music teacher is just incredible.
It's incredible.
And being able to listen to something on YouTube or listen to something on iTunes or listen to something on Spotify or whatever. And then, just thinking go back 20 years ago about if you wanted to listen to something, you had to bring in a stack of CDs.
You were burning CDs for us.
Yeah, we used to make our own CDs to give to kids.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was like, and that was not that long ago. I don't think I'm that old, but like I was old enough.
You were in high school
and
10
that
years
was
ago.
pretty inconvenient
right?
for both of us, I'm
Right.
sure,
Right. And so you had that, and that was only selected listening, and now you have anything. And
Anything. And it's all out there.
Right.
And
I just think that's an amazing resource.
it is totally, that's game changer. You've made you call it your mega jazz playlist
Yes.
with 100 influential jazz albums from Jamie
Yes.
Aebersold, right?
Yes,
That's
yes,
his list. And we have that. I have that on my Canvas page, just a link to the playlist. Now, it doesn't work if the kids don't have Apple Music, but it shows all the album names, and you can find all of that stuff on YouTube, right? So that the kids have access to just millions of recordings.
That's my favorite.
That's
I
your
just
win.
really enjoy having that at my fingertips and having music play and being able to pull up any reference recording or say, hey, it reminds me of this. Something I'm really maybe wasn't ready for, like, oh, this tune has the same groove as this, that I can pull up like Aretha Franklin.
Yep.
Even though we're in jazz band, I don't have an Aretha Franklin CD or, whatever. I can pull that up and say, hey, listen to this. So that would be number one. What about you?
I love AirPlay. I love it. I love it. I love that I can put my screen up, specifically my iPad screen, on the smart board that every kid can see. And I can circle stuff. I can show kids other kids' music. I can show kids, write out rhythms, and we all do it together. We can throw a tuner up there. So if a bari sax player is tuning, the trumpet player can be engaged and watch the lines and the waves kind of settle down when they get it in tune. So the AirPlay really homogenizes the classroom for groups that we teach that have as many lesson plans as there are kids.
Yes.
And being able to just compartmentalize that and make it really quick, I cannot imagine how much time we save. I think about that a lot. Like, I'm not going to say teachers have it easy, but the way that we can utilize technology to quicken the pace of learning is remarkable. Remarkable. And I think about that too, like even with our music notation software, like how quickly we can write stuff these days. And I don't even know if you guys had that back in the early thousands. If you had it on your personal computer at school.
We did.
Okay.
We did early on.
But then you'd have to print it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it wasn't real as slick, right?
Right. Well, and now it's like we can just, if we want to make, something Steve and I do is we make what we call study guides for our tunes. So if we're learning a new tune in jazz band or a new tune in concert band, we might write up a music document with kids having all the same notes and rhythms so that we can read it as a class, not the actual music, but this study guide where every kid will see some of the music that they have later. Oh, class is done. Some of the music
That's
that
a
they have.
7-minute bell. Okay.
Some of the music that they have, but everyone can read it at the same time, and that way we learn it quicker. And then when we play the real music, it's just kind of all ready to go because the kids have already learned it just in a quicker but different way. And how easy it is for me to go on my own computer, make the document, and then I don't even have to print it. I just share it to their Canvas page, and they
Right.
just click and open it on their iPads.
Right.
It's so easy.
Right. And along with that, Jack made a book a number of years ago. It's called the Super Sweet Book,
Oh,
and
boy,
it's
is it super
a large PDF file. And basically, he made his own method book of some collection of exercises that we wanted to reinforce with students. And originally, it was printed at the Concord Print Shop, and we spiral bound it and students had hard copies. We have some extra copies available, but then Jack has it listed as a PDF on our Canvas basically webpage, and the students can start our class, our 6-period Sinfonietta, which is our younger concert band. They can open it every day, and so they're reading their book out of their iPad, but they're also connected to a PDF reader called Notability, which is Notability,
Oh, yeah.
which is a free reader, so they can annotate anything, and they have it there. So that works about, Jack has thought, maybe like 95% of the time it's successful.
Yep.
Sometimes students are in low power mode. Sometimes students don't have their iPad, so they use their phone,
Fascinating.
or they take a picture of it, or they share. But for the most part, we haven't printed out music for that.
No, it works. And we could have done that on the Chromebooks, except if there was a fight between a Chromebook and a music stand, Chromebook wins.
The iPads were a lot.
iPads are lighter.
Yeah.
So those are some things that just like come to my mind right away that just make it so much easier.
Yep.
And that I am pro technology when it comes to
Pro
teaching.
technology. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. I really do like having so many resources available to push out to students without printing it, and just having it there, and in case when they need it. And
Yes,
just like
yeah.
today, like we put out a number of assignments. We each had 6 assignments to push out today, 5 or 6 assignments. And they were all links, and they were all links to like Google Docs or something that would just, the ease of that coming back in. And, like one exercise I was doing today was something with one of the concert bands was color coding the music and, on a Google Doc, and just like having that come back in and just like looking at it and not having to take the time to turn it in, not having to take the time to pass it back, right? And annotate it and communicate with the student individually. And I can do it on my time, not on their time. And I think that's really great. Certainly the mass communication. Along with that, we can push out itineraries. We can push out heads up to parents. We can put heads up to kids. Just recently, last week, 2 weeks ago, the beginning of the calendar year, our school system adopted Remind as our mass text service, and we had used Remind before. To get in touch with our classes, and now that's our go-to for a district, so we have some more whistles and bells because we're a Remind school.
It's good.
Right? But yeah, you can text kids like, hey, pep band's meeting at 6 p.m. tonight, or whatever we're doing, and it's so great, and it works as a text. And the kids, like I had kids texting me today, but not on my personal number. It was coming in as a text remind, and it's just kind of safe, and it's classy, and it's like, hey, Mr. P, what's going on with this?
Convenient.
And it is really convenient.
I don't know how you guys taught marching band before Remind. Okay, picture this.
Yeah.
You're outside in the marching band rehearsal, and you see off in the distance a little rumbly of lightning, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the band director says, "Okay, kids, we gotta go inside." And so we start walking inside, but then a downpour breaks loose, and kids are running, and they just get inside for cover, right? And now they're inside, and you don't know where your kids are.
Right.
What did you do in like 2003? How did you handle that? Like, where did they go? Did they figure it out? They must have.
We must have lost kids.
They're probably still in the school right now.
I'm sure
20
there's,
years
there's,
later.
There's still kids that are roaming around here that are like 38 years old.
Are we in the band room or the lobby? Where are we?
They're still looking, the second
Peterson?
trumpets.
Wow.
Yeah, you look different, dude.
Different.
Yeah.
That rehearsal was rough.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't know what. I guess we're just smarter. No, we were probably just like more intrinsically attached to each other, like
Well, you had to be.
eyes on each other. Like, what are you doing?
Where are we going?
And now the kids get in, and it's all scattershot, and they're like, okay, woodwinds, band room, high brass, gym, whatever.
Because I can just text all my kids just immediately.
Right.
Yeah, that's just like so different. It's so different. Okay, another thing that comes to mind that's really good is Apple Classroom. And this is brand new to us because we were on Chromebooks last year, but I imagine Concord had to purchase some sort of package that gives us Apple Classroom. So the beauty of Apple Classroom is it's its own app, and you can launch a class. Like I was in music theory with my kids last semester.
Oh, yeah, you use this.
And I just thought it was awesome. So I can launch this class, and I have like control, like air quotes, control over their iPads, and it will show me all of their screens, which isn't like super new because we've had that before. But if I'm AirPlaying, I can put up a kid's screen and AirPlay their screen. And then they can do a problem on the board, so to speak, even though they're just sitting down. And we can just look at it and watch them go. And then I can put another kid on the screen or another kid on the screen. And I don't have to walk around. I don't have to like physically look at their iPads, and everybody can see what's going on. And it keeps them accountable knowing that a teacher can check in on their screen at any given time. You know, if I wanted to get a little more, I don't want to direct, I can like lock their screens from doing opening other apps. I can, shut down their iPad if I wanted to, like if I just wanted to be like super mean. I tried it once. You ever tried that with your kids?
No.
I said, who can I lock out of their iPad? I just need to volunteer. I want to see what it looks like. And some kid raised his hand. So I like shut his iPad down, and then I couldn't figure out how to get it back on.
The kid has been expelled now because he failed. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, that stuff is cool, and I'm excited to see where that could take us, in 5 or 10 years, what the technology will be then.
Do you think the people that wanted to hear us talk about tech are excited now? Or is they're just like, yeah, tell me something.
They're like, that's all you got?
7 minutes. Yeah.
That's all you got? Yeah, it's all we're just public school teachers here. We're not like tech. We're not crazy
creators.
We're trying to figure it out. I mean, we do have a podcast, so like give us some credit. But we are trying to figure it out, and I don't know if the people who wanted to hear that expected us to say those things.
Right.
I
think of Denton Sutherland and our guest that was on here a few weeks ago, and his call to simplicity in the classroom. And I do think that with a lot of the technology, not all of it, but the simplicity of being able to tidy up things and not have a bulk of papers all around and a bulk of textbooks all around, and being able to link things to a electronic bulletin board for students to see, like, this is what you want, this is the packet you want right here, and label it and color it how I want it, and just have it there. I think the simplicity and the ease is quite nice.
Oh yeah,
quite nice. And there's still obviously a need for paper, and there's a need for books, and there's a need for writing in journals. I think there's still in music writing, like we do some of our I've had some ups and downs with digital tests and AP music theory this year. And I told Jack, I said, hey, I'm going to go all digital. Watch me. I'm going to do this. And I had some epic fails. Just like kids that were just like in flames in my class. Tears and flames. Tears and flames. The scores were just going down the tubes. They couldn't submit it. It would not update, and it would not submit. Kids were trying to do it on their phones. They were trying to write music with their finger on their phone. It was
it's such a lonely
it was
feeling,
awful.
Dude.
I mean, and I was putting out reassuring messages through the weekend, like, don't worry about test 2. Your teacher is a complete nerd, So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to take that part out of it. We're going to go pencil and paper on the test. But there is something to like writing music. Also that you like to write deep thoughts in a journal, and you probably don't write them in a digital
It's different.
A digital journal.
It's different. It's
Right.
different with the graphite.
Right,
You
it
feel the
is.
scratch. Yeah.
Right. So there is that. I do the same thing too.
Yep.
I keep a notebook. But then there is when we do our music tests, like we do melodic dictation every week, and that's pencil and paper.
Okay.
And so there are certain things that we do that there is not an art. Yeah, there's a little bit of art, but there's also just a satisfaction of writing that down. And just, most of our music and our bands and our jazz bands is all printed.
Yep.
The only time we did do all digital was during the COVID rebooted year. And our band used Chromebooks.
Oh yeah, we did.
and we even gave a concert under the hybrid school year doing that.
Yep.
And that was tough.
It was, but we did it.
We did
We
it.
figured it out. It is kind of terrifying. That's something I need to get over. And now I am like complete iPad kid. Like my students call me an iPad kid, but I read all of my scores off of an iPad. And dude, if that thing ever tanked while I was on stage and just like froze or bricked or something, I would be quite scared. I would be quite scared.
I've thought about that before. I don't use. Do you put your jazz band scores on there?
I do.
Wow.
You just,
So-
you know the iPad goes sideways, right? So it goes to landscape mode for the jazz scores. You just flip it sideways. Just turn off auto rotate lock. Oh wow!
I haven't done that.
Taking it off auto
The
rotate.
jazz, the jazz band scores. The
It's
jazz
the same
band
size, dude. It's all 8.5 by 11.
It's not 8.5 by 11.
Mine
Jazz
are.
band scores are not 8.5 by 11.
Maya, what are you talking about? Oh, are you talking like the litlittle bit further? On the
Yes,
well, the concert band scores aren't 8.5.
I
by
don't
11
use
either.
concert band scores.
Well, that's why our bands sound like that.
Because mainly is because it's smaller and it's more challenging to see, and I do use readers.
I have 20/20 vision, so
There you go. Now, if I could have access to a larger iPad, that would be a different thing. But
all right, Concord admin, if you're listening.
I would lo-
12.9-inch iPad Pro for Steve
I would
Peterson.
love to
His
have one of
birthday's
the-
coming up in March.
I would love to have one of those, but that's not the thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
just use it. Also, though, I do keep copies of my scores, and I like the notes that I write in them. And then if I get them back, like in a few more years,
Oh, you see your own
then you
notes.
see you're like,
Like,
oh,
oh, yeah,
look at
yeah.
this, you know,
That's
like see.
true.
So I do like that part
Okay,
of it,
okay.
but so there you go.
Okay, here's an interesting thing with tech versus not tech that I have not figured out yet.
Interesting thing.
Interesting
with
thing.
Tech, not
So
tech.
I teach the beginning orchestra with Miss Tori Petrak at Concord Junior High, 5th grade. And something we do with our kids is called Sight Reading Factory. This is a great resource. And Sight Reading Factory is an online tool
Light reading factory
that
for
will
students.
automatically generate music within certain levels that you give it. So I can program it to be very easy for a beginning group like that. Or if I wanted to use it in one of the high school concert bands, I could program it to be harder, and it would match those kids. And then it will auto-generate notes and rhythms to be played within whatever you set. Great tool. We do a lot of rhythm and note reading with those kids, and we use this Sight Reading Factory, and it creates 4 measures of music at a time. So it's about, 10 seconds, 15 seconds of music, and those kids play it.
Yep.
They all read the same thing. It's all on the screen.
Yep.
Interestingly, we just started reading real sheet music. Like, this is the first time those
Okay.
kids have seen like a full page of music, which comes with its own challenges, literally with just tracking. I mean, that can be hard for a 10-year-old to read through music like it's in the English language from left to right, new line, new line, new
Right.
line. And we put up, Steve, the exact same 4 measures on the screen, like it was Sight Reading Factory, that they were going to play in the middle of the song. I said, okay, we're going to start at measure 21. We're going to play 4 measures. They played it, and it was horrible. But I put the same 4 measures up on the screen.
Was it unison rhythm?
Unison,
Or unison
everyone playing
notes?
the same thing. Yep. And then we put it up on the screen, and the kids read it from the screen. It's perfect. We go back and we try again, the exact same thing, but this time it's on paper, and it's in the middle of a large piece of music. Same notes and rhythms. They couldn't play it. Isn't that
They
fascinating?
were all playing the same notes and the same rhythms. And then on the digital screen up above on the front of the room, it was great.
Nails,
and then
yep.
once it was on their paper, it was bad.
Horrible. Isn't that wild? So there's obviously some more disconnect than just like screen to paper. Like maybe they weren't at the wired spot, maybe they're confused. But it's so easy because we can control what's on the screen, and like there's no place to
Wow.
miss. But you put it on like the middle of a piece of paper where there's so much more around it that you have to decode, even though you're just looking at this one thing. It's bad.
Boy, there's a couple different things at play, like their ability to focus, and they're looking at a large page, like being able, like you said, track.
Right.
Like track that in the middle, because when you're looking at a large screen,
Yep.
a 6 foot by 3 foot or an 8 foot by 6 foot screen, and your music's up there, it's isolated, and that's the only. It's as black and white.
Yep.
right in
And that's
front of
all
you.
that there is. So obviously, it's not really tech versus no tech, right? But it does make me think with the tech options, we as teachers tend to get rid of the quote noise because we can. We talk about simplicity on this podcast, and I looked at your e-learning instructions, and I know I was very intentional with mine to just write minimal words to get the instruction done.
We were pretty simple.
We were good. Like I felt good about what we did. But, back in the older days pre-tech, you might have to be sifting through a book excerpt. Like in the olden days, you might say, okay, read pages 23, paragraph 2 to 50, paragraph 4.
Okay.
But now you could just copy paste the tech onto whatever platform you're using. And that's kind of a lame example, but you get the idea of the depth of what we're talking about.
Right.
So there is some more noise or lack of noise that kids may or may not be as used to when it comes to tech, right?
I was trying to think about any disconnect that I have. Probably something that would be not a disconnect, but I think has certainly affected how students and teachers communicate. Is the availability of, I think we talked about this in a different episode, about trying to keep your boundaries as a student and a teacher, and about time zones, and about how you're addressing your student. Like you were saying, like when you were a high school student, and about if you put out an email, which was not as common, about how the structure and then just the professional voice that you had and the grammar and the syntax was all correct. And now it's like, bruh, you sure about this? Something like that. Just
no cap.
And then also, students sending things late at night. Now, if they want to something that's fine. Like if they want to send an email because they just feel compulsive and they have to get this thing out. And that's
whatever.
Fine. But just trying to get away from the impulsivity of just like, I have to let them know right now.
Yep.
Has probably not been a great thing for all students and all teachers. And I'm sure teachers are just as guilty of that, of putting out way too many reminders and way too many updates. And and I remember the first time we used to, when we travel with the marching band, maybe I don't even remember the first time that we had the app that we used, the Remind. But I remember the first times that we had used it on a trip, and I'm not sure where we were. Maybe it was New York City. Maybe it was like 2017 that we were using Remind, and we were all into it. And so we had like bus groups, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
we had
yeah,
Bus 3 had a group and
Yep.
all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so it was wonderful for being in a city and traveling and being a tourist and going in and out of the bus and hotels and going to the museums and all this kind of stuff. And one of our tour guides who worked at a established travel company in our state, who was a wise sage, just very, very wonderful tour director and very educationally sound. And he's like, are you sure you want to give that to your kids? Like, you sure you want to give them information? Like, why don't you just give it to them and have them remember? Aren't you kind of taking some of the responsibility out of them?
Yes.
And I was like,
that's so good.
And he is like, are you kind of basically like, I don't know if I would use that. Like, you're kind of training your kids not to listen to you. And I was like, ooh.
Dang. Dude, that's so true.
And I think that is really true.
Oh, it's so real. Well, now, just like you were saying, every communication level is so available.
Yeah.
In 1996, you give your kids an itinerary on Friday, they better know what's coming on Saturday.
Right.
Right? Because they're not going to see you between Friday and Saturday, and they got to know. But now, kids can check out when you go through the itinerary, but then they can text you via Remind,
right.
Any time in that point, and then they're just like you're working double when they're working zero. And that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Now, you and I have made teachable moments out of that
Right.
and talking to kids, but that is something that has grinded my gears before. But I will be very clear with kids. Oh, example, auditions that happened this past winter with audition for concert bands. I told the kids, do not email me on Saturday or Sunday with questions or problems, because I will not be there. You need to be on the forefront of things and figure out if you have issues ahead of time,
Right.
so you can plan around that. I will not come to your rescue. That's good, because that's not just a kid thing. That's an adult thing too. Over communication questions.
Yeah, and so here's the thing about that is about sending emails or text, but especially emails, is that function that allows you to send it at a certain time.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Because you shouldn't be sending your coworkers and your team a lot of emails over the weekend.
No.
Now, our principal is very good about sending one email a week
Every Sunday
at 5 p.m. and it comes in, and it's coming in. And our high school administration sends very, very little.
It's great.
There's no email traffic in our Concord High School airwaves. It's great. But if I feel like going back to that kind of feeling compulsive, and I was like, oh gosh, I got to remember to ask this academic counselor this question, or I've talked to this vice principal, or I need to talk to this other teacher. What I do is I write that, and then I hit schedule send, and it's usually for 8 a.m. Monday.
Right.
So when that person arrives to work, it's at the top of their email. And then it's off my chest, like, okay, I did it, but then I'm not interfering.
Right.
And I notice how some people are very professional in that way and stay out of the airwaves.
Yep.
And they don't have they have a lot of thoughts, but they don't care to put those on paper or in digital form.
Right.
And it's kind of like, whew, I really appreciate how some people are. I remember that with our principal, Dr. Lisa Kendall, during COVID, when we were home during the first batch, from March to June, we were home, and and she did a really good job at keeping in touch. And she said, I think they were kind of doing like a climate survey, like, how are things going? I said, I feel like if there's something I need to know, you'll let me know.
Yep.
If there's a intersection coming up, you're going to let me know. But if not, I'm good. And I do appreciate that freedom to kind of roam like that. But also that's going to take me listening and watching the emails. And so
that's true.
It's an acquired taste to read all the things you're supposed to read.
And in some ways, this is more of a learning curve for adults than it is for kids, because with this, age of technology and communication, it's all they've known. But for adults, I mean, you have been through 3 or 4 or 5 iterations of digital communication and learning the etiquette and protocol for it all. So it is really interesting. You're talking about this, like working on the weekends, like email stuff. If you want to work on the weekend, like that's your choice. Like, you go for it. That's fine. But, I might not be in the mood to read an email at 3 p.m. on a Saturday,
right.
And I would hope there's no response expected. But it does feel tidy to do the schedule send. And while that is like a literal thing you do that you click on Gmail, it's also like a good figurative thing to work for, and I've kind of tried to think about that more in my life. Like, I used to, like, if something was bothering me on a weekend for school stuff, I would try and like take care of it because I didn't like that feeling. But I've worked to kind of learn to live with the...
You're living as a waffle, not as a plate of spaghetti.
Dude.
Right?
That is deep, because waffles have compartments.
That's right.
And spaghetti is just one giant glob.
Yeah.
So I want to be a waffle worker, not a spaghetti worker.
You want to live in the Waffle House, not the spaghetti factory.
Not at Olive Garden, for many reasons. Yeah. No, so I've tried to learn to be comfortable with that, because I think that's a healthier thing to do for myself. And I think it sets a weird vibe if you're like, because people see the timestamps too, like, what are you doing at 2 a.m.? Like, well, it's up to you, whatever. You do you, I guess. Yeah. I'm trying to think if we got any final thoughts on tech. Oh, obviously recording.
Yeah,
As a
recording's
music
good.
teacher, I like recording my groups and like playing it back for them, and they go ooh, or they go oh, and it's a fun little thing, and that's very readily available.
That's true. I haven't used that as much as I always think I am going to, but yeah.
Hey, word on the street, and the street being this table, is that we just got a guest confirmed for
The next 3 months.
January, February, March. We have guests confirmed. Wow, our communications team is on it. This is good.
That's me, dog.
Get that department a raise.
We are gonna have a guest every month until June.
Dang.
Okay.
We're on it. This is good.
So we had maybe thought, the students are like, you should have us on as a guest. We're like, no, we shouldn't. But no, we shouldn't. But we are thinking about maybe doing our tagline about like where to check us out and to subscribe and like that could be a student that they pre-record that and we put that in.
Oh,
We
I'm
were
in
talking
for
about that in Sinfonietta. We were talking about that.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, we should do that. We should totally do that. That would get our
A lot.
viewership up doubled
Yeah.
because
We don't really tell the kids. Listen, just to make sure, we don't tell the kids to listen to the podcast.
We do not promote ourselves.
We don't, and we don't
not our
promote
vibe.
it in our school and like send out, hey, you guys should listen to it. We just kind of help wherever it naturally opens up and reveals itself to people. But
Yep.
so we don't tell the students. Although I've wanted to lead students and say we should really listen to this episode because this applies to you guys right now. But I can't. I'm not gonna shamelessly plug some podcast that I'm dealing in.
No, but gosh, you want to sometimes when the kids do something, you're like, wait a second, we made a reel about this.
I
Stop
know.
it. We made a reel. Stop.
It's-
Stop it. It's like a dog getting in the trash. Stop it. Stop. Look at the reel. Stop.
Hey, you gotta be okay. Speaking of dogs and trash, you gotta be careful this time of year because they tell you to leave your kitchen cupboards open.
Who is telling you this?
Jack, you got to do this. You're a homeowner.
What's wrong with my
Okay.
cabinets?
Okay,
Tell me.
if it's sub-zero and you're sleeping for 8 hours,
Okay.
you need to let your water trickle. If your pipes are on an outside wall,
Okay.
and then also underneath where the sink is,
Yep.
open up your cabinets in the evening or during the day to let the warm air get through there. But if you have a dog and you choose to keep your trash under there and there's poisons under the sink, not a good idea.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm just saying we did that. Like we were out of town over the weekend.
Right.
We let it trickle, opened up the cabinets, came home. Thank God that the pipes did not burst.
Did Oliver get into the trash?
He was you think we'd leave Oliver alone? We were gone for the
I don't know
weekend.
if you have a dog sitter, dude. Why are you coming at me?
Why
are you coming at me, bro?
I have a dog sitter. Oh, come over, James. Come and look at Oliver. No, we take we
Gosh.
take Oliver to somebody else's
Can
home.
we end the podcast now? Can we just?
We take Oliver to a border. We take Oliver to.
That sounds bougier than dog sitter. You're like
It's
Oliver
somebody's
has a boarder.
house. It's
He
like
has a
Airbnb.
2-bedroom suite with
It's an
unlimited
Airbnb
treats.
for dogs.
That sounds bougier than a babysitter. That's like a hotel versus your
I
own
don't
house.
want to give somebody my key to come into my house. Like you.
You don't have friends. You don't have friends you can trust with the. Bro, I would have done that for you. I would have done that for you. Wow.
Dude, you live 15 miles away and it was 25 degrees below zero. And plus, what's happening at night? I'm not talking to let the dog out twice during the day. I'm saying, who's going to stay with the dog overnight? If the house goes up in flames, I want my dog out of there.
What if I took? What if I had Oliver at my house? What if he and
Would
I
you
had
wanna
like
take
a
Oliver?
bro weekend? I
You
don't
want
know.
to take?
I don't know. I don't keep brownies around, so what's the danger? You know.
I'll talk to
Wait,
Oliver.
hold on. Are my pipes frozen right now?
You-
I've been at work for like 4 hours. Are they? Do I need to go home like right now?
Tonight, when you go to bed,
Okay.
let the outside wall plumbing. So maybe if you have a work sink downstairs or something like that, or that's near an outside wall, you want to let that trickle. Like mine downstairs is trickling right now.
The more you know. Okay.
The more you know. It's cold.
It's cold. Are we gonna have school tomorrow? Who knows? Who knows? Okay. This was actually pretty interesting.
This was good.
We got some. I learned some things myself. This was good.
Hey, if you like us, go to chops_podcast on TikTok. TikTok. It's a TikTok, paddywhack. It's a TikTok. Talk time. You go to TikTok, chops_podcast at TikTok and Instagram. And you can check out a Chops podcast video on YouTube.
You can.
And then check out our podcast.
We always say check out the podcast last. We assume they're on it, I guess. Like
No, I don't assume that.
Yeah. Can you tell your friends?
I think
Tell
we're
your
just
enemies.
becoming like a TikTok. People are waiting for something funny to drop, and they have to wait like
No,
6
guys, we
weeks.
can't be funny all the time. We have to talk about real stuff.
This is
We're not here. We're not your monkeys to make you laugh. Okay? We have That's pretty good. We have jobs to do. We are trying to change.
What are we
Kids, I
trying to
guess.
change?
I don't know.
No, we're not trying to change kids.
We're trying to change ourselves.
trying to change ourselves through kids.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there you go. So please follow. Please tell people about it and rate a review. And then someone's got to cut Steve's microphone or else we'll be here all day. So we have a meeting to go to at 4 p.m.
Yep. We gotta
and
go.
It is almost there.
Okay.
So we're gonna shut this down. But thanks for listening to Our Thoughts on Tech. My name.
Dang it!
Dude, I had the momentum.
But I was okay. Go.
He's like, "Hacha, hacha, hacha." I'm Jack Hinkle.
And I am Steve Peterson.
See ya.
Bye.